Some of you may not realize this, but the Lexus ES has consistently been the brand's best-selling sedan ever since Lexus was first incepted back in 1989. Now back then, it debuted alongside its flagship LS, and the two cars looked very similarly. So today, I'm just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, where Lexus, as you can see, has made the ES look again like a shrunken baby Lexus LS, and this is the all-new 7th generation. So Lexus is claiming this is the most dynamic, most luxurious, most comfortable, most quiet ES ever built. So, are their claims true? That's what we're here to find out. So being the brand's best-selling sedan, Lexus has made several changes to the ES over the years, and what you're looking at is the all-new 7th generation. That's right, this has been through 7 different versions, and it's kind of crazy to think about. This car is nearly 30 years old. Now you can see this is the most radically styled ES that Lexus has ever produced, and I think they've done a really good job. They've gone in a really different direction with this ES. You can see this particular one is an all-new trim version. It's an F Sport model. Previously, you couldn't even get an F Sport package on an ES, but I think it looks really handsome. Now you can see here, my Tester, being the F Sport model, does have LED headlights, which are standard. These are the upgraded triple beam premium LEDs, which are a little bit dark tinted. You have the typical Lexus spindle grille, which some people either love it or hate it. I surprisingly really like it on the ES. It looks like a shrunken down version of the LS. I also like the F Sport model that gives you this kind of mesh pattern, which is actually a combination of intricate L's, because, you know, as Lexus likes to do, their styling always has a bunch of L's in it. You have this black chrome kind of surrounding it. You have a newer or different front lower intake here, and it just looks really aggressive and looks really sporty and youthful. And that's something that the ES has never really had. Now, regarding the platform, this is now switched over to the Global Architectural Luxury, or K platform, GAC as you want to call it for short. It's a front-wheel drive platform that shares a lot of parts with the platform that you guys know on the Camry and the Avalon. As you guys know, the ES has always been just a kind of luxury version of the Camry, and then they switched it to the Avalon when the 6th generation came out. Now you can see here, 19-inch wheels are newly available on the ES. Standard are 17-inch wheels. This is riding in 235/45 tires. Really nice looking wheels. They basically mimic what you guys have seen on the LS F Sport, which is a really, attractive looking vehicle when you guys go for that. Now this is a big sedan, and I'm a little confused onto where Lexus is kind of placing it, because ES has always been kind of the entry-level sedan. However, they're kind of moving it up market. It's kind of giving me an indication that they may be discontinuing the GS or maybe even the IS. There's rumors circling around, but regardless, the wheelbase has now been stretched by 2 inches over the old one. It's 113 inches long, and then the overall length is around 196 inches long, about 2.5 inches longer than the old one. This car is now bigger than the Lexus GS, which is essentially 2 mid-sized cars that occupy the same size in the space, but not necessarily the same price class. Now at the back, you can see here the design is very unique. I think they've really done a good job. It has some hints of Infiniti with Mazda, and maybe even some Lexus GS with the taillights, with the mimicking of the L's. You have combination, or you have LED backup lights, LED brake lights, and then tail lights. I think this is actually an incandescent bulb. I'll have to double check that later. The S Sport model gives you these, dual integrated exhaust outlets, which are unique to the F Sport. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with the quad tips like you get on the Camry with the V6. Of course, there's an F Sport badge here. Now, Lexus does offer, to kind of differentiate this, a smart trunk feature where if you got the key fob, you can kind of just kick your foot underneath there. This will open up. That feature is a power operation feature. It's an optional feature, but this one I don't have the key on me, but when you open up the trunk here, Lexus did expand the cargo capacity. You're looking at around 16.7 cubic feet of space, which is about 1.5 inches bigger than before. Thank God it's bigger, because the seat does not fold down flat, which is surprising to me. It does have a little pass-through that Lexus put like a strengthening brace in between the rear seats, so they kind of had to get rid of the rear seats. Underneath here, you do have a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit like some luxury car makers make you deal with. Thankfully, every ES will come with the company's smart key access system with push button start. There's no remote start in the actual key fob. This is the newer key fob that I've shown you before. Instead, you have to go into the Lexus Inform app where you can remotely start it and unlock it via the actual app on your phone. But when you keep the key fob in your pocket or your purse, as you approach the ES, you can see there's a little ridge portion on the door handle. Just touch that, and that will lock the door for you. And then to unlock it, there is a sensor on the back of the handle. Just touch it and that will unlock the door for you. Now, my particular tester, I really like this combination. It's the ultra white metallic paint with the circuit red leather interior. This is basically the same red leather interior that I've shown you in the Camry, which looks really great. The seats, Lexus says they took these seats directly out of the LC flagship coupe, and they're really comfortable. They're like 12-way adjustable. They're heated and cooled, which is great. No massage function is available though. This is kind of more their entry-level sedan. The steering wheel has also been lifted right from the LS F Sport, which is great. And it makes a really great first impression with this all-new interior. Now stepping inside, just like the Camry and Avalon, you can feel that this car is lower to the ground. They made it about 2 inches lower versus the previous model. And then when you shut the door, it sounds nice and solid when you shut it. This is the Global Architectural K platform, which is a very stiff front-wheel drive platform. Now, to start the vehicle up, just put your foot on the brake and then push this button here to fire up the engine. And because it's a V6, the engine remains really smooth and very quiet. You can see this one has the optional 12.3-inch Lexus Inform display with the LFA style gauges that do move if you push this little button right here, which is definitely a cool feature. The V6 itself has is a smooth engine, but Lexus is also amplifying the noise. So when you put it into its Sport and Sport Plus setting, it will amplify the noise. It's a really silky smooth V6. I really like the way the powertrain feels. If you guys don't like 4-cylinder turbos, this is the car you want to get. The Redline has also been increased versus the old model to like 6,600 RPM, which is increased about 400 RPM. Now, looking at the rest of this interior at a glance, it will remind you nothing of the new Camry or Avalon. Lexus does a really good job at differentiating their interiors. The materials in here are also top-notch, as you expect from a Lexus. This is all soft touch, really soft actually right here on this lower portion. It's equally soft touch here over the airbag cover. You have the faux red stitching going across the airbag cover here. This is actually soft touch on this upper portion here, which is nice. There's genuine Nagari aluminum trim, which is inspired by Japanese samurai swords, that creates a three-dimensional look. That's included on the F Sport model. The other trims will give you like 3 different finishes of wood, including like a matte bamboo finish. The door panels you can see here are also soft touch, just like the dash. There's more of that stitching right here. You have 3-person memory seats. My tester has the 17-speaker, 1800-watt Mark Levinson audio system, which sounds incredible. It rivals the Bang & Olufsen that I've tested in other European cars. The windows are one-touch automatic for the driver, for the front passenger, and for the rear. So it's one touch on all 4, which is great. You have your mirror controls over here. This material is kind of like a aluminum looking plastic. There's more aluminum or soft leather right here with a nice storage area for your phone. Then here it's all hard touch plastic, which is what I kind of expected. Now looking at the center stack display here, this is the 8-inch, floating tachometer that moves. Now Lexus has shown this before, has been using this before on several vehicles, especially specifically it was introduced on the LFA. This gauge cluster is cool. I like how it moves. However, I think it's time for Lexus to update this. I mean, we've seen this for so long now. Competitors have gone to a screen that's just much larger. I think they could kind of update this, make the screen bigger, and keep that little element that made this display so cool. The rest of the steering wheel here, it's a power tilt telescoping, which is memory linked, which is nice. The steering wheel itself feels really great in your hands. The leather feels smooth. You have paddle shifters right here, which are silver accented. You have metal pedals there for the F Sport model, which is all great. Let's talk a little about the infotainment system here, because Lexus typically gets a lot of crap for this. This is the optional 12-inch display. If you don't get the nav package, you get an 8-inch display. Now, one thing, the biggest update with this car is when you go over here to this, voila, it gives you Apple CarPlay. Sorry, Android users, still no Android Auto, but you do get Amazon Alexa. Because it's a 12-inch screen, you can see it is a widescreen display for the Apple CarPlay, which is kind of unique in the industry. And it works by the remote touchpad interface where you kind of have to scroll over to what you want. If you want to pull up the regular maps here, you can see here, this is your Apple Maps. There's no Waze integration with this car like some of the other competitors, which is still kind of a rare feature. But if you just want to go back to the Lexus system here, or let's go back over to the actual menu display. The pad itself, the touchpad, it's frustrating to use still at times, but the Apple CarPlay helps tremendously. I just think that Lexus really needs to rethink their remote touchpad interface. It's just really distracting to use because it doesn't have, the one-to-one positioning that Acura just introduced in their new RDX. You just have to, it requires you to take too much attention off the road. But let's go back to the regular Lexus system here. So you do that by going down to this, highlighting it and pushing Lexus. It'll take you back to the navigation map. Now you can see here, this is the standard Toyota Lexus map, which, it looks fine. It's got, decent graphics, nothing really to, wow you like some of the European competitors. I like the pinch to zoom and zoom in and zoom out capability, which is actually better than what Acura does in the new remote, their new, Acura True Touchpad system, which is great. If you want the double screen here, just click on this. You can pull up the double screen. The climate control settings are all right here, or you can use the actual hard buttons right here. One thing that annoys me is still no dedicated heated or cooled seat switches here. I think that Lexus should be including that. Instead, you have to go here to the seat controls and then adjust, what you want. This particular one doesn't have a heated steering wheel. I believe it's available on something if you get the ultra luxury package, which is definitely a nice feature. Down here you can see all your Lexus sources and whatnot. This system has a learning curve. Once you figure it out, you'll be able to use it, but just trying to get to the seat controls, trying to navigate this while you're driving because it doesn't have the one-to-one positioning is just kind of a pain. The touchpad itself has haptic feedback and you can adjust the sensitivity. Lexus says they've tried to make improvements. You have some shortcut buttons here for your map menu and, and a back button and whatnot. But overall, I think the system really could use an overhaul just to make it a little bit more user-friendly. Now, putting it into reverse, you can see here, there is a backup camera with, parking sensors, distance markers, trajectory, no 360 camera on this particular tester. I'm going to have to double check to see if Lexus offers it. Unfortunately, this media drive being as short as it is, features like that can be kind of left out unless you start asking people and specifically requesting it. The backup camera itself, the resolution is okay. It's nothing really special. It's the same stuff that I've shown you in other Toyota Lexus products, but some of the European competitors have gone a little bit better. They copied the tuning knob here where it's on this lower portion and then the volume's on this portion, which is nice. The controls here for the climate is pretty straightforward. You have some dedicated buttons here. Surprisingly, Lexus still puts a CD player in this car. I'm not sure why. Nobody really uses a CD. Your power rear sunshade control is right here. And then, actually there's some heated and cooled seat controls here. So ignore my complaining earlier. I didn't see these here because this is kind of covering this. Ignore my complaining. It looks like Lexus has given us some hard buttons here. So this has really improved that kind of situation with trying to use this car while you're driving. So I'm really happy to see that there. So ignore my complaining earlier. There's a cup holder over here. This is a nice storage area for your phone. There's 2 USB ports, an aux port right there. Over here you have another cup holder which has the ability to kind of give you 2 different levels, which is really interesting. So you can put something like a big tall drink there. Your parking brake is over here. It's an electronic parking brake. And then over here, you can see here, there's pretty deep storage. You can see there's a wireless charging pad, which is nice if your phone is compatible. This lid actually opens up 2 different ways, which is good. The seats, I find them to be very comfortable, supportive. They look great. I love how they're heated and cooled. The cooled function works well. And then all ES models will come with the standard size sunroof. A pano sunroof is optional if you guys want the ability to get that. But overall, the interior of this car is really luxurious, nicely styled. Still could use a couple of updates here and there just to the the remote touchpad to make it a little bit easier to use while you're actually driving. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with the interior of this new ES. Now, because the ES is considerably larger than vehicles like the IS or GS or a lot of its competitors, the back seat of this new model is cavernous. In fact, Lexus says it's the most spacious backseat in the segment with 39 inches of legroom. That actually makes it 3 inches more roomy versus the mid-size GS platform, which I actually reviewed a couple years ago. It does have a rather tight backseat. You can see here, the space is just huge. This is comparable to the Camry and Avalon that I just tested, the new version, which doesn't surprise me. It's the same damn car. Now, looking at the rest of the interior in here, I really like the red leather, first of all, that this one has. It's got soft touch materials on the upper door panels, more leather. The Mark Levinson audio system, you have dual map pockets here, and then Lexus gives you rear seat vents with 2 USB charging ports and then a power outlet here. One thing I am noticing that's missing are heated rear seats. I was expecting to find it here, but no heated rear seats. I'll have to double check if that is available on this car. I know that the Avalon offers it. You do have a power rear sunshade in the back, no manual sunshades here, and then you have some cup holders here and there. I mean, the back seat is definitely a nice place to spend time. This one does not have the panoramic sunroof. You just have a standard sunroof. That is optional. But overall, a lot of you may actually end up choosing this car for its really roomy rear seat. So underneath the hood of the all-new ES, you can see here, those of you who don't like turbo engines, you'll be happy to know that Lexus has kept V6, and the 350 still actually means something in an ES. It's a 3.5 liter V6 with direct and port injection. That's with the D4S technology. It's the same V6 that I've shown you guys before in the Avalon and the Camry. However, in the Lexus, it makes more power, one more horsepower, 302 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. Now, Lexus will tell you that's like a 35 or 34 horsepower increase over the old one, so it's a nice increase, although they do have a 311 horsepower version in the GS, so I'm surprised they didn't just kind of, shove that engine into this. Now, ESs are still only front-wheel drive. Lexus does not offer all-wheel drive on this new generation, which is kind of surprising. It's the only sedan in the segment that doesn't offer all-wheel drive, but it's still the best-selling, which is even more surprising. Now, it has a new transmission. The 6-speed auto has been replaced by a new 8-speed automatic. It's basically the same one that I've shown you in the Avalon and the Camry. This car weighs around 3,700 pounds. It's like 100 pounds heavier, and fuel economy has been improved because of the new engine and transmission. You can expect to get about 22 in the city and 33 on the highway if you guys get the non-F Sport. This F Sport model drops the highway rating to 31, so 22, 31. It's like a 3 mpg improvement over the old model, so that's great. This actually still runs on regular gas, so you don't have to put premium in this. Now, if you want more fuel economy, there is a hybrid version, which I'll do a separate video on at a later date. That one will get up to 44 mpg city and 45 highway with a 4-cylinder with 215 horsepower. The same one in the Avalon. That again is front-wheel drive, but the V6 is what I'm more interested to drive, so let's get out on the road and see how it all performs. So finally getting into the driving portion of this video, I've already shown you guys full reviews on the V6 Camry and Toyota Avalon. I was pretty impressed with both of those vehicles, although the Avalon still kind of, to me, didn't have that youthful edge. I'm getting a lot of that vibe from the ES. I mean, this is definitely a nicer feeling car, but let's get out on the road and see how it feels out in the real world. So I'm gonna try an acceleration one here. This car is still front-wheel drive. Wow. That wheel spin was intense. But, it didn't really have much torque steer. It reminded me a lot of the Avalon, actually, when I first floored it. But I imagine most owners are going to be doing that too in this car when you actually drive it. But getting out here on the road, Lexus says this car is quicker than the old model. It will get to 60 in around 6.5 seconds with what they said, which is about a half second quicker than the old model. It feels pretty good. This is definitely a car that has plenty of real world power. It's very smooth power. If you guys like a V6, you're really going to appreciate, how this drives, how this feels. The steering in this car is also a high point. It has really good heft and feel. I have it in its sport dynamic setting now, which, by the way, this car is equipped with the adaptive variable suspension. You can only get that on the F Sport model. It really tightens up everything. So it tightens up the steering. It makes the transmission shift sharper and quicker. The ride quality also gets firmer. Not harsh though, just nice and firm. You really can feel that this is a car that's much more stiff versus the old model. I mean, it drives just like the new Camry and Avalon. They will surprise anyone if you've never driven a modern Toyota Lexus product. Now, the engine itself also has a sound amplifier. It basically amplifies the noise of the induction howl, and it actually sounds pretty good. I don't mind, that kind of technology as long as it does a good job in making it sound, good. So I'm relatively happy with the way the V6 sounds. It also has a very nice, smooth power delivery. The engine is super quiet, even at high revs. I like how it revs higher now, but when you start pushing it at higher revs, there's no vibration through the steering wheel, through the pedals. It just adds to that luxury feel. This is what Lexus is all about. And you'd be surprised, you can attack your favorite back road on this car, and really where the only time I feel the limitations is when I'm kind of accelerating out of a corner. It has trouble putting the power down, but this is a front-wheel drive luxury sedan. Most owners are not going to be, pushing it as hard as I am, but I also want to feel the, capabilities of this chassis. The transmission is relatively responsive. I'm surprised Lexus is not using their new 10-speed auto, but I imagine it doesn't mate with this naturally aspirated V6. You can see here these all-season tires are kind of limiting it a little bit, but surprisingly the understeer wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The transmission, it's fine. It's much better than the old 6-speed. I find that it has somewhat of a delay when I first put my foot down, but most people won't really notice that. It's just, it kind of just fades into the background, and I'm actually having a pretty good time driving this thing on some back roads. I'm not familiar with the roads here in Tennessee, but they are magnificent. Yeah, I mean, this car is relatively quick. Now, in terms of the actual quietness in here, I do hear some wind noise when the sunroof visor is open, the actual, thing that lets in the light. When I close that, the wind noise goes away. So I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm going to chalk this up to a pre-production model, but the rest of the interior, really quiet. There's no road noise. The engine makes a nice noise. The visibility in here is also really good. You have a great view out of the front. It's actually better than the Camry and Avalon that I just drove because the dashboard is lower. The mirrors are also great. Great view out of the back. Now, this car does come standard with the Lexus Safety System Plus. It's the 2.0 version as well. This is the first Lexus to get this new version, which I showed you guys in the new Corolla hatch. It adds active lane trace assist, so it does an even better job of keeping you in the lane, versus the old system, it would kind of wait till you cross the lane and then shoved you over. This actually will actively keep you in the lane like the way the Honda or the Genesis or Hyundai system works. It's very good, so Lexus is caught up there. It also has like pedestrian detection and bicyclist detection and all that other stuff. The adaptive cruise control's kind of been refined a little bit. Blind spot monitoring is not included though with this package. You have to add it as an option. But overall, this car is a really great, pleasant daily driver that most people are going to be really happy with. You know, driving it, you know, on their favorite back roads, driving it to and from work. It's a surprisingly, you know, fun car to drive. Let's try accelerating from a stop once again here. I'm going to leave the traction control on to see how the wheel spin is. A little bit better. I mean, I can't really complain too much. It doesn't feel any quicker than a Camry or Avalon with the V6 though, which is kind of where I think Lexus needs to work on, you know, with this car. I think they really need to add all-wheel drive because buyers in this segment really demand all-wheel drive. It's just something that they really need to consider adding because, you know, in luxury buyers, that all-wheel drive adds the security, the traction, the performance advantage of it as well. So there's less wheel spin because, you know, nobody wants the crude wheel spin when you have a luxury sedan like this. But again, I drive with a heavy foot. Now, how does this compare to the competition? You know, I don't really consider the Buick to be competition. I don't think Lexus buyers are cross-shopping with a Buick, like the LaCrosse. I think the LaCrosse drives nice. I think the Lexus feels more upscale and premium and sportier than that new Buick LaCrosse. The Lincoln MKZ, I haven't driven the latest version yet, although it does offer like a 400 horsepower twin-turbo V6. The 6-speed auto is the sour point of that MKZ, whereas it's definitely down a few gears and it's just lacking in terms of shift quality and responsiveness. The Acura TLX, the front drive model, I think this drives better than the TLX with front wheel drive. The TLX is cheaper, but the Lexus feels more upscale. It's got a better transmission. Its V6 is equally smooth. The Acura only kind of has an edge when you guys go for the super handling all-wheel drive model, which again, I wish Lexus would offer all-wheel drive. The head-up display on this car is also included on this particular one. It's a 10.2-inch display. It shows all the same information that I showed you in the Avalon and the Camry. It's great. So in terms of the tech, in terms of the feel, in terms of the quality, Lexus has really upped the ES to a new level. And I can easily see a lot of people choosing this when you just want a traditional, quiet, smooth, comfortable luxury sedan with a big back seat, a reasonable price, and now you can add, you know, striking looks and, you know, relatively sporty driving dynamics. So some of you may be confused onto why Lexus decided to redesign a sedan. Americans have just gone to crossovers. Well, Lexus says, according to their market research, people who own a crossover also tend to own a sedan because, you know, we're a multi-car household here in America, which makes the ES one of their best sellers. They're estimating they're going to do around 50,000 units annually when this new model comes out. And after driving it, I'm pretty sure they're going to exceed that number. This is the perfect luxury sedan for a lot of adults, married or single, who want something that's comfortable, that's quiet, that's luxurious, and has an actual flavoring of sport with this all-new one. You saw from the test drive, the adaptive suspension on this F-Sport makes it handle relatively well. It's still front-wheel drive. I wish that Lexus would offer all-wheel drive. They say that they are considering adding all-wheel drive, so stay tuned if you guys want an all-wheel drive version. Lexus may do so. The styling, I think it looks great on the outside, especially in this ultra-white color with the F-Sport package. Lexus says that 25% of you are going to choose this model, and you're also going to be younger. Lexus is saying it's going to be a single male around 46 years of age who is going to buy this thing. But that brings me down to the final aspect of this video, the pricing. When this new Lexus ES goes on sale in September of 2018, Lexus didn't have final pricing available, but you can expect it to start around $39,000, which is around the same price as the old model. Now, the old model also topped out around $50,000. Since I don't have final pricing yet, I'm gonna guess this one that I'm driving is around $52,000, $53,000, which would make the ES right in line with a lot of its competition. For that kind of money, you could get something like, you know, a Buick LaCrosse or a Lincoln MKZ, which I view as the main competitors. An Acura TLX is actually a little bit less expensive. For some reason, Lexus says this car's competition is the BMW 3 Series and Audi A4, which I kind of disagree with. That's what the Lexus ES is designed to be, but it kind of makes me question what Lexus is going to do with the other sedans in their lineup. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 Lexus ES 350. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.